Morning, Hug.
Hey, good afternoon, Sherman. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I guess it's morning for me here in the Okanagan and afternoon for you in Europe.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm here with Hug Jochman, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Northern Graphite. Northern Graphite is a very exciting story, developing a significant graphite business, which is set to be one of the third largest producers outside of China. And a really exciting story. So thanks for taking a few minutes, Hughes.
You're welcome.
I guess you've been very busy. I mean, the last news release was some pretty significant appointments at the executive level. Maybe just if you give us a bit of an update on how the execution of the plan is coming. To me, it's been remarkable over the last 7 months, which you and your team have been able to accomplish. And so I guess I wanted to chat a little bit about, where you're at with the plan. And then also one of the big questions we get is, what is graphite used for? So wanted to spend a few minutes just in closing today about the uses of graphite and how important graphite is to the electrification business. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yes, thank you. Well, as we've said before, when we closed the acquisition of those two producing mines from Imerys on April 29th, we really transformed the company from being, a junior company with a very nice development project in Ontario to, a full-fledged production company. And we've been working hard, to build that company since we closed that acquisition. So we're now over 100 employees in the company. And as you said, our executive team is now complete. We have hired recently our new CFO. We have hired a new VP of HR, Sam, who's a Namibian. Our CFO is Guillaume Jacques. Him and I have worked together in the past. He was my CFO when I was at Imerys, and then left Imerys to go work for Arkema, and then now left Arkema to come back and work with us. Very, very experienced guy. We also have our VP of sales on board, Marco Zavanek, very experienced guy in the specialty materials industry, and he's building his team in Europe and in North America. And then we also hired a very experienced project manager, Serge Deberge, who's a Quebecois, and he's basically driving all of our Canadian projects at the moment, whilst, the team in Namibia, which I think we talked about before, where we also hired, a project manager, we hired a general manager, as well as, a very good metallurgist who has a lot of experience in that specific plant. He was there on the onset when it was built in 2016. So, our team is now complete, and we're firing on all cylinders. We're basically doing, three different things. The first one is we're getting ready to finalize our contracts for 2023. And this is looking really good. We're looking at trying to grow the business next year. And so we're working with all our customers and new customers to secure volume in 2023, volume which should come both from the Canadian mine, but also the Namibian mine, because as we started up sometime in the middle of next year, we have to build some new customer base in Europe. And so, our European team is working hard on that. The second thing we're working on is to secure the long-term life of Lac des Îles. And so we recently announced that we bought a new deposit in Musso West, which will allow us to basically add 10 years life at 25,000 tons a year in Lac des Îles. And this is what Serge is mostly involved with. And as we do that, we're also continuing to explore options right around the site. So we're not just going to stop at Musso. We're also looking at other potential deposits around the area so that we can continue to grow the capacity there in Lac des Îles. And then the third thing that we're working hard on is our mine in Namibia and the restart of that. And so that's taking a lot of energy, and the team is working hard on that. And once we stabilize the company and we consolidate our position for 2023, then we will start to engage with the battery industry, because that's where most of our graphite is going to end up in the future. And in order to do that, what we have to do is engage with OEMs, engage with our partners, our technology partners, but also our industrial partners, to put together a plan on how to turn our graphite into a battery anode material that goes into batteries. And as you said, in terms of what are the uses of graphite, battery is significant, because today, any lithium-ion battery that is out there, 48% of that battery is basically graphite, because the anode is predominantly made of graphite. But the battery is not the only application for graphite. We also sell graphite into the steel industry by working with refractory manufacturers around the world. We also sell the graphite to make foils. I think I also talked about last time we were on the call about a company called Neograph in Cleveland. They're growing rapidly, and what they use the graphite for is to make foils, so that they can build foils that are used in the electronics industry to dissipate the heat from the high heat electronic components. But they also have some really cool applications in graphene, and in particular, they also have recently launched a product called GraphGuard, which can be applied to electricity poles and basically prevent the pole from catching fire in these big forest fires. And that's a big application that's going for them. But they're also working in batteries, building sensors for temperature. And they're also working to develop a lot of different materials that go into plastics, because, as plastics develop, they are more and more sensitive to heat. They require more conductivity. And so by taking graphite and basically turning it into a graphene-like product and mixing it with plastic, you get a lot of benefit. First of all, the plastic is stronger, but it also dissipates heat and conducts electricity much better. Last but not least, one of the big applications that they're working on is with regards to construction industry. And they're introducing this expanded graphite or graphene-like product into cement applications. And again, that's to provide the cement with a reinforcement, but also higher conductivity. And that's true for the joints as well. So, there's a lot of application for graphite. But besides all of what I've just said, graphite is also used in friction application, i.e., in the brake pads of vehicles. It's also used as a lubricant. In fact, that's growing for us at the moment because of the oil industry and all the drilling that's going on. If you mix the graphite with some liquid such as water, you can then use it as a lubricant when you actually go and drill for oil. And there's a lot of people drilling for oil at the moment, so that demand is increasing, and we can see some higher demand for that kind of application. So overall, even though graphite is the batteries are the biggest application, there's a lot of other applications that are also growing. Maybe not at such a rapid pace, but they're also growing in other industries, and we benefit from that. So,
well, Hugh, that's very interesting because I think for the majority of investors, I mean, a lot of the excitement about graphite and graphite investing is around the electrification. And you and I have talked about this, and it's becoming a little bit, people are building the awareness that we need 10 to 15 times the amount of graphite that we're producing to meet some of these electrification targets. And I think that's a real key point. And, you had mentioned earlier to me about some of the things that you're starting to see in the US with the Biden administration, for example, and some of these funds that are now starting to be developed to to encourage the investment in these strategic investments. And we actually saw that recently in Canada. There was a very large announcement out of the government of Ontario where they're putting close to $1 billion to development of the small modular nuclear reactors. So maybe just talk a little about that and what you're seeing internationally about which is further proof that the world is going to be investing big time in graphite.
No, it's absolutely true. What the Biden administration and the IRA have done for the industry is quite phenomenal, because until that was announced, a lot of that graphite was coming from China, and now if any of these EV manufacturers in the US want to benefit for these rebates, which can amount as much as $7,500 per vehicle, they have to have a very high content of North American produced or minerals produced by allies, people who have a free trade agreement with the United States. And, that opens a lot of opportunity for us, because, all of those OEMs and all these battery manufacturers are now turning to Canada and looking at where they can source their materials for their batteries so they can get the full benefit of that rebate. And, we are number one as a company producing graphite, the only company producing graphite today in North America. We're number one on their list. And, having this large project on Ontario is also positioning us extremely well to be able to access funding from the state of Ontario. So we are working hard, to answer all the questions and to make sure, we pick the right partner, and we are creative in how we can raise the funding we need to be able to develop our big mine in Ontario. And it's exciting. It's very exciting, and it will take a few more months before all of that flushes out.
Well, great. Thanks so much for taking the time, Hugues. I know you're busy.
You're welcome.
I really look forward to seeing you in LA in a couple of weeks at the big Graphite conference in Los Angeles. So, have a great week, and I'm sure I'll talk to you before the middle of the month.
Yeah, that conference, will be on the 14th and 15th of November in LA, and that's part of Benchmark's Battery Materials Week, and the first 2 days are dedicated to graphite and graphite anode materials. And it's going to be great for us to be there, and also for anybody who wants to learn about the battery minerals industry, and in particular graphite and anode materials. It's one of the best places to go and learn, and so I look forward to being out there with you too, and spending some time together.
Right on. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take it easy. Nice to see you. Bye.